An alien ceremony takes a turn when a human is named the Groom. From above, the planet looked like a swirl of colors, emerald forests, violet deserts, and rivers that shimmered like liquid crystal. Humans had never visited this world before, and now he was about to step onto its surface as one of the first ambassadors. The thought thrilled him, yet a nervous knot sat in his stomach. Beside him, Captain Myra checked her instruments carefully. "We're cleared for landing," she said, her voice calm, but Ethan could see the excitement in her eyes. She had been part of the mission to explore Zelaris, but even she seemed awed by the sight below. The shuttle's doors opened with a soft hiss. The air that greeted them smelled sweet, like a mix of flowers and fresh rain. The gravity felt a little lighter than Earth's, making every step feel almost like floating. Ethan took a cautious step onto the smooth, glowing platform that led from the shuttle. He could see creatures moving in the distance, tall, slender beings with shimmering skin and eyes that reflected light like polished gems. They walked with elegance, almost as if they were gliding. A group of Xylarian guides approached. They were taller than humans, with long arms and delicate hands. Their voices were musical, each syllable ringing like a tiny bell. One of them stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Welcome, travelers from Earth. I am Lyra. We are honored by your arrival." Ethan bowed awkwardly in return. "Thank you, I'm Ethan. We're honored to be here." He glanced at the other humans behind him, all looking equally amazed. Lyra smiled, her expression warm. "Come, the city awaits. There is much for you to see." As they walked, Ethan's eyes darted from one wonder to another. The city was unlike anything he had imagined. Towers of glass and metal floated above the ground, connected by glowing bridges. Rivers of light flowed through the streets, carrying small vessels that moved without any visible engines. Plants with leaves that shimmered like gold and silver grew along the paths, and the air seemed alive, humming softly around them. "Is this real?" Ethan whispered to Myra. She laughed softly. "I think so. The readings confirm it, and we're not hallucinating from the shuttle's atmosphere. This is Zelaris." Lyra led them to a large plaza at the heart of the city. Hundreds of Zalarian citizens had gathered, forming concentric circles around a raised platform in the center. The platform glowed faintly, with intricate patterns etched into its surface. Ethereal music filled the air, coming from instruments that seemed to hover and play themselves. "You have arrived on the day of the ceremony of unity," Lyra explained. "It is a rare occasion when beings from other worlds are invited. Today, you will witness a ritual that celebrates harmony, trust, and connection among all species." Ethan felt a thrill run through him. He had studied alien cultures for years, reading about rituals, customs, and ceremonies, but he had never imagined seeing one in person, let alone participating. As the humans watched in awe, the elders of the city appeared on the platform. They were taller than the guides, with robes that shimmered with patterns that seemed to move and shift like liquid. Their faces were wise and serene, and their eyes glowed softly with colors that changed with their emotions. One elder stepped forward and raised a hand. The music softened, leaving a gentle hum. "Citizens of Zelaris and honored visitors from afar, today we celebrate the unity of all beings. Today, one among our guests shall take part in a bond that strengthens the connections between worlds." Ethan felt a jolt run through him. His mind raced. Bond, unity. He glanced at Myra, but she looked just as surprised. The elder's gaze swept over the humans, then slowly, deliberately it landed on Ethan. "You, human of the earth, shall be the groom in our ceremony." For a moment, the world seemed to stop. Ethan's mouth opened, then closed. "Wait, me?" he asked, his voice barely audible. Lyra stepped closer, her voice soft and soothing. "It is an honor. The role is symbolic, but it carries great respect. You will represent the strength and adaptability of your species." Ethan swallowed hard. I don't know what to say. I wasn't expecting this." The elder inclined his head. "No words are necessary. Your willingness to participate is the true honor. Fear not, for guidance will be given." The humans exchanged astonished looks. Myra whispered, "Well, this is not exactly what we trained for." Ethan laughed nervously, feeling the tension in his chest loosen slightly. "I guess not, but it might be the adventure of a lifetime." Lyra guided him away from the crowd. "First, you must understand the meaning behind the ritual. The ceremony is more than a celebration. It is a bond that shows trust, cooperation, and understanding between species. Every gesture, every chant, every step has purpose." As they walked through the city, Ethan absorbed every detail. The architecture, the floating gardens, the gentle hum of energy that seemed to flow through the streets. It was all connected. The Zalarians lived in harmony with their environment and each other. He felt a sense of peace, mixed with the thrill of responsibility. Lyra stopped at a building that seemed to float slightly above the ground. Its walls were transparent, revealing a room filled with glowing symbols and soft light. This is where you will prepare for the ceremony. Here you will learn the gestures, the chants, and the symbolic offerings. It will be challenging, but do not fear. You will not be alone. Inside, the room was circular with a platform in the center. Symbols glowed softly under Ethan's feet, responding to his movements. Lyra guided him to the edge of the platform. "First, you must understand your role," she said. "The groom represents openness, courage, and the willingness to connect with others. You are not marrying in the way your species does on Earth. You are taking part in a shared bond that honors trust and respect. Every gesture you perform carries meaning." Ethan nodded, feeling both awe and apprehension. "I'll try my best. I want to do this right," Lyra smiled. "That is all we ask. Let us begin." The next hours were a blur of learning. Ethan practiced bowing and gesturing in ways that felt unnatural at first. He tried to mimic the musical sounds the Zalarians made, his human voice clumsy compared to their melodic tones. Several times he stumbled over the glowing symbols on the floor, accidentally lighting them in ways that caused soft bursts of color to flare around him. Each mistake made him laugh nervously, and each success gave him a small thrill. Lyra was patient and encouraging. "See, you are learning quickly. Your species is adaptable. That is why you were chosen." Ethan couldn't help but feel proud. He had always admired humans, resilience, creativity, and curiosity. Now, standing in a room filled with glowing symbols on a distant planet, he could see why. He could learn, adapt, and even thrive in an environment that was completely alien. As evening approached, the sky outside the transparent walls changed. 3 suns set slowly, casting overlapping shades of purple, pink, and gold across the city. The light made the floating towers sparkle, reflecting in the rivers of crystal and painting the entire city in a magical glow. Lyra watched Ethan carefully. "Tomorrow, the ceremony will begin. You must rest and prepare. Remember, it is not about perfection. It is about sincerity. Show respect, follow the guidance of the elders, and you will honor both your species and ours." Ethan nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. "I understand. I think I'm ready." Lyra's expression softened. "You will do well. The Zalarian people sense the intention in your actions. That is what matters most." That night, as Ethan lay in the quarters prepared for him, he stared out at the city below. The floating towers shimmered, the rivers of light pulsed gently, and creatures of every shape and color moved gracefully through the streets. He felt a sense of wonder he had never experienced on Earth, and yet beneath that wonder a flicker of doubt remained. Tomorrow, all eyes would be on him. Tomorrow, he would step onto the platform and take part in a ritual that no human had ever participated in. Could he truly represent his species? Could he meet the expectations of the Zalarians? He closed his eyes, letting the hum of the city lull him. He reminded himself that humans had always faced the unknown with courage, ingenuity, and determination. If they could travel to the stars, communicate with alien species, and survive the challenges of space, surely he could take part in a ceremony. As sleep claimed him, he dreamed of glowing platforms, melodic voices, and a crowd of beings waiting to witness a human step into their world not as a visitor, but as a participant. A human chosen not by chance, but by the very qualities that made their species remarkable. Tomorrow, the adventure would begin, and Ethan knew deep in his heart that he was ready to rise to the challenge. The morning sun, or rather, the closest of Xylaris's 3 suns, rose slowly, casting long beams of pink and gold across the floating city. Ethan stood at the edge of the ceremonial training platform, rubbing his hands together nervously. Today, he would begin the lessons that would prepare him for the ceremony of unity. Lyra appeared, gliding toward him with the calm, graceful movements that made her seem almost weightless. Her eyes shimmered softly as she spoke. "Good morning, Ethan. Today, your training begins in earnest. You will learn the gestures, chants, and offerings of the ceremony. Do not be afraid of mistakes. They are part of learning." Ethan nodded, swallowing his nerves. "I'll do my best." Lyra's smile was reassuring. "That is all we ask." The first lesson was the gestures of greeting and respect. Ethan watched carefully as Lyra demonstrated movements with her arms, hands, and fingers. Each motion had a meaning: a bow of the head for humility, a stretch of the arms to show openness, a spiral motion of the hands to represent the flow of trust between beings. Ethan tried to copy her. At first, his human coordination failed him. His arms were too stiff, his fingers too clumsy. He bowed too deeply, then too shallowly. One time, he moved his hand in the wrong direction, accidentally lighting one of the glowing symbols on the platform. A burst of soft green light flared, startling him and making him stumble backward. Lyra's laughter was gentle but musical. "Do not worry, Ethan. Humans are different, but you learn quickly. Even this mistake shows your willingness to engage. That is what matters most." Ethan laughed, feeling the tension in his chest ease. "I suppose glowing symbols are better than embarrassing myself in front of everyone tomorrow." Lyra tilted her head. "Perhaps, but tomorrow you will have guidance. Today you practice and learn. Mistakes are welcome here." Hours passed in a blur of movement. Ethan repeated the gestures again and again, slowly gaining grace and precision. His body ached from motions he had never used before, but each successful attempt gave him a thrill. He could feel himself connecting to something bigger, something ancient and profound, beyond human understanding. Next came the chanting lessons. Zalarian chants were melodic, almost musical, carrying vibrations that resonated with the body and mind. Lyra taught Ethan the basic syllables first. Each had a meaning, a subtle energy that influenced the platform beneath his feet. Ethan's voice was harsh at first, clashing with the soft hum of the platform. He stumbled over syllables, mispronounced notes, and sometimes forgot the rhythm entirely. The platform would glow erratically in response, sending flares of color into the air. "Focus on the meaning, not the sound," Lyra advised. "The intent behind the chant carries more weight than perfection. Feel the words in your mind and body, not just in your voice." Ethan closed his eyes and tried again. He thought about trust, openness, and unity, the concepts Lyra had explained. Slowly, the syllables began to flow more smoothly, and the platform responded with calm, steady glows. A sense of accomplishment filled him. He could do this. During breaks, Lyra explained the history of the ceremony of unity. She told him that for thousands of years, the ceremony had strengthened bonds between different Zalarian clans, and more recently, between Zalarian species and visitors from other planets. Being chosen as the groom was an honor, she explained, because it meant that Zalarian elders believed Ethan's actions reflected the values they wished to honor. "Your species, humans," she said softly, "has a unique quality, curiosity, and adaptability. That is why you were chosen. Even in an unfamiliar world, you seek to learn, to connect, and to understand. That is rare, and it is respected." Ethan felt a warm pride at her words. Humans were not the strongest species, nor the fastest, nor the most beautiful. But they had the ability to think, adapt, and form bonds. He realized that maybe this honor was not just about participating in a ritual. It was about showing what humans could bring to the galaxy. The next part of the training involved symbolic offerings. Ethan was presented with a tray of delicate crystals, glowing softly in shades of blue, green, and violet. Each crystal represented an emotion or quality: trust, respect, courage, patience, and unity. The challenge was to place them on the platform in the correct pattern while performing the gestures and chanting. Ethan tried carefully. His hands trembled, and he misaligned a crystal at first. A small ripple of color spread across the platform, making him cringe. "I'm sorry," he muttered. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. "Do not apologize. Even mistakes carry lessons. Watch the rhythm, place your intention, and the rest will follow." Following her guidance, Ethan tried again. This time, he focused on the meaning of each crystal, imagining the feeling it represented. As he placed them, the platform glowed steadily, the colors blending beautifully. He felt a sense of accomplishment and calm wash over him. He was learning not just the motions, but the intention behind them. By mid-afternoon, Ethan's muscles ached, but his confidence had grown. Lyra led him to a small chamber filled with floating holographic projections of past ceremonies. He watched as grooms and their partners moved gracefully through the ritual, their actions fluid and harmonious. "Observe the rhythm," Lyra said. "Notice how each participant responds to the other. Unity is not a solo act. It is a dance of cooperation and understanding." Ethan studied the projections carefully. He saw that the ceremony was as much about connection as it was about ritual. Every gesture, every chant, every placement of a crystal was a conversation. It spoke of trust, patience, and respect. "You will do well," Lyra said, her voice soft but certain. "Your willingness to learn and adapt will carry you through." Ethan smiled, feeling a surge of determination. "I won't let you down, or the Xylarians." Lyra nodded. "You will not. And remember, Ethan, the ceremony is not just for you. It is for all who witness it. It is a bridge between worlds. Your actions, however small, matter greatly." As evening fell, the light from the three suns faded, replaced by the soft glow of floating lanterns and the luminescent plants lining the streets. Ethan and Lyra walked through the city, taking in the quiet beauty of the night. The air was cooler now, carrying a faint, sweet scent. Creatures moved gracefully through the streets, some with wings that shimmered like glass, others with limbs that glowed softly. All observed the humans with curious, gentle eyes. Ethan paused, taking a deep breath. "I've seen a lot today, but I don't think I'll ever get used to this city. It's alive in a way I've never experienced." Lyra smiled. "Zelaris responds to all who live here. The city is not just stone and metal. It is energy, life, and thought. You will feel it more clearly during the ceremony. That is why preparation is important. You must move with the rhythm, not against it." Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He realized that tomorrow, when all eyes were on him, he would need to stay calm, focused, and mindful of every action. But he also felt a quiet excitement. He was not just learning a ritual. He was learning a new way to connect, to communicate, and to understand life beyond human boundaries. Back in the training room, Lyra led him through one final exercise of the day, performing a sequence of gestures, chants, and crystal placements from start to finish. Ethan stumbled a few times, but each error taught him something. By the end, he completed the sequence smoothly, and the platform glowed in a brilliant, harmonious pattern. Lyra's eyes shone with approval. "You have done well, Ethan. Rest now. Tomorrow, we begin with the final rehearsal, and then the ceremony will begin. Remember what you have learned, trust yourself, and you will succeed." Ethan lay down in the quarters provided for him, exhausted but exhilarated. His body ached pleasantly, a reminder of all he had learned. As he looked out the window at the glowing city below, he realized that the ceremony was more than a test or an honor. It was an opportunity. An opportunity for humans and Xylarians to understand each other, to form a connection, and to share in something greater than themselves. He closed his eyes, allowing the soft hum of the city to lull him into sleep. He dreamed of floating platforms, glowing symbols, and the gentle guidance of Lyra's voice. He dreamed of unity, connection, and trust. And he dreamed of stepping onto the ceremonial platform tomorrow, ready to take part in a tradition that had existed for thousands of years, carrying the hopes and respect of both humans and Xylarians alike. Ethan's heart swelled with a mix of anticipation and determination. He did not know what challenges awaited him during the ceremony, but he knew one thing with certainty. He would meet them with courage, respect, and the qualities that made his species special. Tomorrow, he would take the first step into a larger universe. Tomorrow, he would become more than a visitor. Tomorrow, he would become a participant in a bond that could change the way humans and Xylarians understood each other forever. And with that thought, sleep took him, bringing rest to his tired body and preparation to his eager mind, readying him for the adventure that awaited with the dawn of a new day. The day of the ceremony of unity arrived, and Xylaris had transformed into a spectacle of light and life. Platforms floated gracefully above the city, decorated with glowing flowers and shimmering crystals. The rivers of light that threaded through the city sparkled brighter than ever, reflecting the golden rays of the closest sun. Creatures of every shape and color moved through the streets, their forms gliding or fluttering in harmony with the soft, melodic music that filled the air. Ethan stood at the edge of the ceremonial platform, dressed in ceremonial robes that glowed faintly with soft blue energy. He had practiced the gestures, chants, and symbolic offerings countless times over the past day. Still, the nervous knot in his stomach had not disappeared. Today, all his learning would be tested in front of an audience. Lyra approached, her movements as graceful as ever, and gave him a reassuring nod. "You are ready, Ethan. Remember, sincerity and focus are more important than perfection. Trust yourself, and the ceremony will guide you." Ethan took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart. "I'll do my best," he said, his voice steady, though his hands trembled slightly. The crowd was immense. Xylarian citizens of all shapes and sizes had gathered around the platform, forming concentric circles that extended as far as Ethan could see. Holographic lights floated above their heads, casting dancing patterns across their faces. At the center, the elder who had chosen him as Groom raised a hand, and the crowd fell silent, the music fading into a gentle hum. "Today," the elder began, his voice deep and melodic, "we witness a union not only of beings but of worlds. This ceremony honors trust, cooperation, and the strength found in understanding differences. Let the ceremony of unity begin." Ethan's pulse quickened as he stepped onto the glowing platform. Every movement, every gesture, every chant had to be precise. He remembered Lyra's words, "Intent matters more than perfection." He focused on the meaning behind his actions, centering himself. The initial moments passed smoothly. Ethan followed the gestures, placing the symbolic crystals on the platform in their correct positions while chanting the melodic syllables he had practiced. The platform glowed in response, radiating harmony. For a brief moment, everything felt perfect. Then, without warning, the sky darkened. One of Xalaris's suns flickered as a cosmic storm approached faster than anyone had predicted. Dark clouds swirled unnaturally, crackling with energy, and beams of violet light shot across the sky. The floating platforms that held the participants began to sway dangerously. The audience gasped as some of the smaller platforms rocked violently, threatening to topple. Lyra's eyes widened. "This is unusual," she whispered, her calm demeanor strained. "Ethan, remain steady, focus on the platform. We must stabilize it before the ritual is disrupted." Ethan's stomach tightened. He had never encountered anything like this. He glanced at the glowing patterns under his feet and noticed they flickered, responding to instability in the platform. He realized that the platform was reactive, powered by the same energy that flowed through the city. It needed precise movements and focus to remain steady. The elders exchanged urgent gestures, their robes glowing with shifting patterns as they attempted to stabilize the ceremony. But the storm's energy was strong, and even they struggled to control the floating platforms. Ethan's mind raced. He had learned about Xalarian energy systems during the training, and he remembered how the platform's symbols responded to gestures, chants, and intentions. Maybe he could help. Taking a deep breath, he stepped to the center of his platform. He extended his arms, moving slowly in the gestures he had practiced, imagining stability and balance flowing from his body into the platform. Then he began to chant, carefully modulating his voice to match the rhythm of the energy. The crystals under his hands glowed steadily and the platform trembled less. Lyra watched him closely. "Focus, Ethan. Channel your intent. You can guide the energy. The ceremony can still succeed." Ethan's voice grew stronger as he followed the flow of energy through the platform. He adjusted his gestures, moving with careful precision, visualizing the balance returning to the floating structures. Slowly, the platform beneath him stabilized. Then he guided the energy toward the platforms around him, using hand movements and focused chants to transmit stability. The crowd gasped and murmured as they saw the platforms begin to steady. Ethan glanced at Lyra, who nodded encouragingly. He felt a surge of confidence. He was not just following instructions now. He was taking initiative, using his understanding of physics, rhythm, and intent to stabilize the ceremony. Other participants, sensing the shift, adjusted their movements, and the platforms responded in kind. The elders' voices rose in melodic guidance, helping to synchronize everyone's energy. Within moments, the storm's immediate disruption was contained. The platforms were stable, though the sky still crackled with violet energy. The crowd erupted in applause and cheers. Ethan felt a mix of relief and exhilaration. He had faced an unexpected challenge and succeeded not by strength, but by quick thinking, observation, and courage. Lyra approached him, her expression radiant. "You did it, Ethan. You saved the ceremony. Your actions honor your species and the spirit of unity." Ethan exhaled, feeling a wave of exhaustion and satisfaction. I just tried to follow what I learned. I didn't expect it to actually work." Lyra's eyes glimmered. "Sometimes that is all it takes. Willingness to act, to adapt, and to connect. Humans have a remarkable quality. You used it today." The elders signaled for the ceremony to continue. The platforms rose slightly higher, illuminated by soft, glowing energy. Ethan resumed his gestures and chants, this time with renewed confidence. The crystals on the platform radiated vibrant colors, representing trust, respect, and unity. As he moved through the ritual, he began to notice subtle shifts in the crowd. Zalarian citizens were smiling, nodding, and even whispering to each other about the human groom. Children pointed at him in awe, and some even mimicked his gestures playfully. It was a moment of connection that transcended species, a bridge forming between humans and Xylarians. Lyra guided him through the final symbolic offering. Ethan lifted the last crystal, representing courage, and placed it at the center of the platform. A brilliant pulse of light spread outward, touching every platform, every participant, and even the audience. It was as if the energy of unity had spread beyond the ceremony itself, washing over the city. The elder who had chosen Ethan stepped forward, his robes shimmering with pride. Today, we have witnessed something extraordinary. Not because of tradition alone, but because of the courage, adaptability, and sincerity of this human. You have shown that connection between worlds is possible. Ethan bowed deeply, feeling both humbled and proud. He had never expected to play such an important role, and yet here he was, helping to preserve a centuries-old tradition while also proving the value of his species. The storm began to dissipate slowly. The violet clouds faded and sunlight returned, bathing the city in warm, golden light. The platforms floated steadily, their energy in perfect harmony. Ethan glanced at Lyra, who gave him a gentle smile. "The storm tested us," she said, "but your spirit helped us endure. This is a moment that will be remembered for generations." Ethan looked out at the audience, the glowing city, and the floating platforms. He realized that humans had something unique to offer: creativity, courage, and adaptability. Traits that were just as important in the vast universe as strength, speed, or technology. He had faced the unknown and succeeded, and in doing so, he had become more than a participant. He had become a symbol of cooperation between species. As the ceremony concluded, the music swelled, and beams of light danced across the city. Ethan performed the final gestures, chanting the last syllables with clarity and intention. The crystals on the platform pulsed one last time, radiating a harmonious glow that reflected the unity of all beings present. The audience erupted in applause and melodic cheers, some emitting sounds that were almost musical, others clapping their hands or flapping their wings in joy. Ethan felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had not only honored the Xylarian tradition, but had also proven that humans could be a force of positive change in the galaxy. Lyra approached him, her voice filled with pride. "You have done more than survive the challenge, Ethan. You have inspired all of us. Your presence has strengthened the bond between your world and ours." Ethan nodded, a smile breaking across his face. "I couldn't have done it without your guidance, and I think I've learned something important about humans too. We can adapt, we can connect, and we can rise to challenges, even in worlds we don't understand." Lyra's eyes glimmered. "That is the lesson we hoped all visitors would learn. Today you have shown that unity is not just an idea. It is a living, breathing action, created through courage, empathy, and understanding." As the ceremony ended, Ethan stepped down from the platform, exhausted but exhilarated. Around him, Xylarians approached, offering smiles, nods, and words of praise. Children mimicked his gestures, elders bowed respectfully, and even the elders who had guided him now looked at him with admiration. Ethan realized that this was more than a personal victory. It was a moment of first contact in the truest sense, a demonstration that humans could engage, contribute, and thrive in alien worlds. The story of his courage and quick thinking would be told for generations, a symbol of human potential. As the sun set on Xelaris, casting a warm glow over the floating city, Ethan looked up at the sky and felt a deep sense of gratitude. He had faced fear, uncertainty, and the unknown, and he had emerged stronger, wiser, and more connected to the universe than ever before. Tomorrow would bring the final part of the ceremony, the celebration, and the opportunity to fully embrace the bond he had helped create. But tonight, Ethan allowed himself a quiet moment of pride, knowing that he had proven not only his worth, but also the value of humanity in the galaxy. The platform beneath Ethan's feet glowed softly as the final rituals of the ceremony of unity began. The crowd had quieted, eyes fixed on him, yet he no longer felt the same nervous tension he had felt earlier. The storm had tested him, and now he knew he could rise to challenges, adapt, and act with purpose. He was ready. Lyra appeared beside him, her presence calming. "This is the moment, Ethan," she said softly. "Remember, every gesture, every chant, every placement of the crystals is a symbol of connection. Perform them with sincerity, and the unity will flow naturally." Ethan nodded, taking a deep breath. He focused on the meaning behind each gesture, thinking of trust, cooperation, and understanding. Slowly, deliberately, he moved his arms, placing the first crystal in the proper position on the platform. The crystal glowed, casting a soft light across his robes. He continued, chanting the syllables he had practiced. His voice, human and imperfect, blended surprisingly well with the musical resonance of the platform. The audience watched silently, a mixture of awe and anticipation on their faces. Some whispered softly, others swayed with the rhythmic vibrations of the chant. It was a shared experience, a communication that transcended words. Ethan felt the energy of the platform responding to his intent, harmonizing with the movements of the Zalarians around him. Lyra guided him through the next sequence. He raised his arms gracefully, forming spirals and arcs in the air, and then lowered them with controlled precision. The crystals on the platform pulsed in sequence, radiating colors that represented the values he carried: courage, openness, patience, and respect. The platform beneath him shimmered with life, responding to his every movement. As Ethan continued, he noticed subtle shifts in the audience. Zalarians began to mirror some of his gestures, small acts of engagement that symbolized connection. Children pointed and laughed softly, mimicking his movements. Elders nodded approvingly, their robes shimmering with colors of pride. Ethan felt a warm sense of belonging, knowing that despite being from another world, he was participating in a shared experience that united them all. Midway through the ritual, Ethan reached the part he had been most anxious about: the offering of the courage crystal, the central piece of the ceremony. This crystal symbolized the willingness to face uncertainty, to take action even when outcomes were unknown. He lifted it carefully, feeling its smooth, cool surface. He took a deep breath, remembering the storm from the previous day. That challenge had tested his courage and adaptability, and now it was a reminder that bravery was not about never feeling fear, but about acting despite it. He placed the crystal in the center of the platform, and it glowed brilliantly, sending ripples of light through every other crystal and platform. The effect was breathtaking. The entire audience seemed bathed in soft, radiant energy. Lyra's eyes gleamed with pride. "You are doing well, Ethan. Every action you take strengthens the bond of unity. Feel it, and it will flow through you and all who witness it." Ethan continued with the final gestures, moving in fluid arcs and placing the remaining symbolic crystals in their positions. His chants grew stronger and more confident as he aligned with the rhythm of the ceremony. He no longer thought about mistakes or perfection. He was fully present in the moment, acting with intention and sincerity. Suddenly, a low hum rose from the city itself. Ethan glanced around and realized that the floating platforms and the energy of the city were responding to the ritual. The glowing rivers beneath them shimmered in patterns that echoed the movements of the ceremony. It was as if the entire world of Zalaris had become part of the ritual, amplifying the unity Ethan and the participants were creating. The elders stepped forward, their voices joining Ethan's chant, weaving harmony with the human's voice. Ethan felt a deep connection to them, a bridge spanning species, cultures, and worlds. Every gesture, every note, every crystal placement was a conversation of understanding, a testament to what could happen when beings approached each other with respect and open hearts. Lyra guided him through the final sequence of the ceremony. The movements were more intricate, requiring precise timing and focus. Ethan's hands glowed with energy as he lifted each crystal and followed the gestures. His chants blended with the elders' voices, creating a melody that resonated through every corner of the city. He felt the energy of Zalaris itself flowing through him, a river of light and intention that connected him to the audience, the elders, and even the distant stars above. When the final gesture was performed, Ethan placed the last crystal on the platform. A brilliant pulse of light radiated outward, touching every floating platform, every observer, and every Zylarian's heart. The colors of the crystals mingled, creating a pattern that symbolized unity, harmony, and trust across species. The city erupted in applause, melodic cheers, and soft musical sounds that only Zylarians could produce. Children waved their hands in delight, elders bowed respectfully, and the audience swayed to the residual hum of energy from the ceremony. Ethan felt a deep, fulfilling sense of accomplishment. One of the elder leaders stepped forward, his robes shimmering with vibrant, flowing patterns. He looked directly at Ethan, eyes glowing with pride and warmth. Today you have proven that connection between worlds is possible. Not through might, nor by knowledge alone, but through the courage to act, the willingness to understand, and the sincerity of your intent. You have honored this ceremony, and in doing so, honored all of Zalaris and your own world. Ethan bowed deeply, feeling the weight and the honor of the moment. "Thank you," he said, his voice steady. "It has been an honor to learn, to participate, and to share this experience. I will carry this memory and its meaning back to Earth and hope to inspire connection and understanding there as well." Lyra approached, her eyes shining softly. "You have done more than participate, Ethan. You have inspired. Humans have a potential that is often underestimated. Today, you have shown that courage, empathy, and the willingness to learn are qualities that resonate far beyond your own world." Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. He realized that his journey to Zalaris had not only been about observing another culture, it had been about showing what humans could contribute to the galaxy. Adaptability, creativity, empathy, and courage, the traits that humans often overlooked, had been his greatest assets today. The elder raised his hand, signaling the conclusion of the ceremony of unity. "Let this moment be remembered," he said, "as a time when worlds connected through trust, understanding, and shared intent. Let all who witness this remember the lesson. Unity is strengthened not by sameness, but by respect for differences and the courage to act with heart and mind together." The audience erupted in celebration. Platforms shimmered, rivers of light reflected in dazzling patterns, and the music rose to a jubilant crescendo. Ethan watched as Xylarians danced, floated, and moved gracefully in celebration. Some approached him, offering bows, nods, and warm words in the melodic language of Zalaris. Children laughed and mimicked his gestures, and elders nodded in approval. Lyra took his hand, guiding him to a side platform where refreshments were provided. The food and drink were unlike anything Ethan had ever seen, glowing fruits that changed flavor as he ate them, sparkling drinks that seemed to float in the air. He laughed softly. "This is incredible, not just the ceremony, but everything." Lyra smiled. "Zalaris celebrates connection in all things, energy, food, music, and movement. You are part of it now. Humans have never participated in this way, and your presence will be remembered for generations." As the sun set over the city, casting overlapping shades of violet and gold across the floating platforms, Ethan took a moment to reflect. The storm had tested him, the rituals had challenged him, and yet he had succeeded, not through strength alone, but through understanding, courage, and sincerity. He realized that humans' greatest power was their ability to adapt, learn, and connect, even in worlds far beyond their own. Lyra looked at him with a gentle expression. "The ceremony is concluded, but its meaning will last far longer than the celebration. You have become a symbol of unity, Ethan, and a reminder that connection is possible when beings approach each other with respect, courage, and open hearts." Ethan nodded, feeling the depth of her words. He understood now that this ceremony was more than ritual. It was a promise of friendship, trust, and cooperation across worlds. He had taken part in something extraordinary, and in doing so, he had learned about the strength of humanity and the beauty of connection. The city glowed softly in the night as celebrations continued. Music floated in the air, laughter echoed across the platforms, and beams of light danced in the sky. Ethan moved among the crowd, sharing smiles and gestures with Zalarians, feeling fully accepted despite being from another world. He had been chosen as a groom for a symbolic reason, but he had gained something far greater: the respect, trust, and friendship of an entire civilization. As the evening drew to a close, Ethan and Lyra stood on a quiet balcony overlooking the city. Below, the celebrations continued, but up here there was peace. Ethan looked out at the glowing towers, the shimmering rivers, and the floating platforms, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. "Thank you, Lyra," he said quietly, "for guiding me, teaching me, and helping me be part of something bigger." Lyra's eyes glimmered. "The honor is mine, Ethan. Humans have a gift that is rare, the ability to connect, to understand, and to rise to challenges with courage. Today, you showed all of that. Remember it and carry it with you wherever you go." Ethan smiled, feeling a calm resolve. Tomorrow would bring new experiences, new opportunities to learn, and new ways to strengthen the bond between humans and Zalarians. But tonight, he allowed himself to feel the full weight and joy of his achievement. He had been chosen unexpectedly, faced a challenge no one anticipated, and succeeded through courage, empathy, and adaptability. The ceremony of unity had not only honored Zalaris's traditions, it had honored the very best qualities of humanity. And in that quiet moment, looking out over a city of glowing light and celebration, Ethan understood something he had not realized before. Being human in the galaxy was not a limitation. It was a strength. The glow of Zalaris's three suns had dimmed, giving way to the soft, radiant light of floating lanterns that shimmered like stars across the city. The ceremony of unity had concluded successfully, leaving Ethan filled with awe and a sense of achievement he could hardly put into words. He had faced challenges he had never imagined, yet he had emerged not only unscathed, but honored, respected, and celebrated by an entire alien civilization. The city was alive with music, laughter, and the gentle hum of energy. Platforms floated gracefully above the streets, decorated with glowing flowers and crystals, while Zalarians of every shape and color danced and moved in elegant patterns. Children laughed, chasing streams of light that floated like ribbons in the air, while elders exchanged approving nods and whispered words of admiration. Ethan stood near Lyra, taking in the vibrant celebration. "I still can't believe all this," he said, his voice soft. "It's beautiful, and everyone is so happy." Lyra smiled, her eyes shimmering with warmth. "The ceremony is not just about rituals, Ethan. It is about connection. Today you have helped us create something lasting, an example of unity between worlds. That joy you see is the result of shared trust, respect, and courage." Ethan nodded, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. He had learned that humans' greatest strength was not their speed, their strength, or even their technology. It was their ability to adapt, to learn, and to connect with others, even in worlds far from home. As the celebration continued, Ethan was approached by several Xylarian citizens. They bowed respectfully, offering words of praise in their melodic language. One elder handed him a small, glowing crystal shaped like a miniature star. "For your courage and sincerity," she said, "may it remind you always of the bond you have created here today." Ethan accepted the gift with both hands, bowing deeply. "Thank you. I will treasure it always." He held the crystal carefully, marveling at its soft glow. Even as a human far from Earth, he felt a connection to this world and its people that was both profound and humbling. Lyra guided him to a side platform overlooking the central plaza. From here, the view was breathtaking. The city stretched endlessly, with rivers of light weaving between floating towers and gardens that shimmered like precious gems. Every platform, every street, every citizen seemed to vibrate with life and joy. Ethan realized that the ceremony of unity had done more than honor tradition. It had created a living bridge between humans and Xylarians. "Ethan," Lyra said gently, "your presence here is more than symbolic. It shows that humans can engage with the universe in meaningful ways. Courage, adaptability, and empathy are qualities that transcend species. Today, you have proven that these qualities can shape the future." Ethan smiled. "I never imagined I'd be doing something like this, and yet here I am." "It's hard to believe a human could have such an impact." Lyra shook her head. "Do not underestimate yourselves. Humans have always been explorers, thinkers, and creators. You have faced the unknown countless times and have risen to the challenge. Today was no different. You have shown us what it means to step forward with heart and mind together." The celebration grew livelier as the evening progressed. Floating lanterns drifted through the air, carrying messages of hope and friendship written by Zalarians for future generations. Music filled every corner of the city, a harmonious blend of instruments and melodic voices that resonated with the very energy of Zalaris. Ethan joined the dancers, moving carefully at first, then with more confidence as he matched the rhythm of the floating platform. To the humans, it felt alien, the movements fluid and otherworldly, yet natural once he surrendered to the flow. The Zalarians responded with joy, welcoming him not as a visitor but as a participant in their world. Children laughed as they mirrored his gestures, and elders nodded approvingly, their eyes glimmering with pride. During the feast, Ethan marveled at the food and drink, which glowed softly and seemed to shift flavors as he tasted them. Every dish was a reflection of Zalaris's philosophy of connection and harmony. He shared stories with Zalarians, exchanging knowledge about Earth while learning more about the planet he had come to admire deeply. Lyra approached him with a gentle smile. This celebration is also about reflection. Think about what you have learned and what you can carry back to your world. Humans and Zalarians can share knowledge, culture, and experience. Today is just the beginning. Ethan nodded, feeling the truth of her words. He thought about the challenges he had faced, the surprise of being chosen as groom, the panic during the storm, and the careful guidance he had received from Lyra. Every moment had taught him something new about himself, about humans, and about the power of connection. He realized that courage was not just about facing danger. It was about understanding, learning, and acting with intention, even when the world around you seemed uncertain or alien. Humans had a unique capacity for this, and today had shown him just how far it could reach. As the night continued, the elders invited Ethan to speak before the crowd. He stood on the central platform, feeling a mixture of nerves and pride. Silence fell over the city as he began. I am honored to have been chosen to participate in the ceremony of unity, he said, his voice steady. I came to Zalaris as a visitor from Earth, hoping to learn and observe. What I have learned goes far beyond what I expected. I have seen courage, respect, and unity in action. I have witnessed a world that values connection above all else. And I have learned that humans, too, can rise to challenges, adapt to the unknown, and build bridges between worlds. He paused, looking at the glowing faces around him. We are all different. Our bodies, our languages, our worlds, they are not the same. But that does not matter. What matters is that we choose to understand each other, to respect each other, and to work together. That is what unity truly means. That is what I have learned here on Zalaris, and that is what I will carry back to Earth. The audience erupted in applause, their voices rising in a harmonious wave of sound. Zalarians of all ages approached, offering words of respect, gestures of friendship, and glowing symbols of their own. Ethan felt a deep, fulfilling sense of accomplishment. He had not only honored their tradition, but had shown that humans could be a force for connection and harmony in the galaxy. As the crowd dispersed, and the celebrations continued into the night, Lyra guided Ethan to a quiet balcony overlooking the city. Below, lights shimmered, and the air pulsed with the energy of shared joy and unity. Ethan held the glowing, star-shaped crystal given to him by the elder earlier, feeling its gentle warmth. This crystal is a reminder, Lyra said softly. That connection is always possible when intention, courage, and respect guide your actions. Humans will be remembered for their participation today, not only for their actions, but for the qualities they bring to the universe. Ethan nodded. I will remember this always, and I will tell others about Zalaris, not just what I've seen, but what I've learned. About connection, courage, and the value of every being, no matter how different they may seem. Lyra smiled. That is all we hope for. Today marks the beginning of a lasting friendship between humans and Zalarians. You have taken the first step, Ethan, and the bond will only grow stronger. The night sky above Zalaris glimmered with stars, the three suns casting faint, lingering light across the horizon. Ethan felt a profound sense of peace. He had faced fear, uncertainty, and challenges he could never have anticipated. Yet he had succeeded, not through strength alone, but through courage, empathy, adaptability, and a sincere desire to connect. He realized that humans had always carried these qualities, often quietly, often overlooked. And in this moment, among an alien civilization light years from Earth, those qualities had shone brighter than ever. The celebrations continued late into the night. Ethan joined in the dances, shared meals, and listened to stories of Zalaris's history and culture. Everywhere he went, he was met with warmth, curiosity, and respect. It was a feeling unlike anything he had ever experienced on Earth, and yet it felt familiar, a recognition of shared values and shared intent. As the festivities began to wind down, Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. Rest now, Ethan. You have done more than you could have imagined. Tomorrow, you may return to your world, but the bond you have created will endure. And wherever humans go in the galaxy, your actions here will remind them of what is possible. Ethan smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment deeper than any he had known. Thank you, Lyra, for guiding me, teaching me, and helping me see what humans can achieve. I will carry this with me always. Lyra nodded, and the universe will be richer for it. Remember, courage and understanding are universal. You have shown that humans possess both in abundance. Ethan looked out at the glowing city one last time, the floating platforms, the rivers of light, the shimmering towers, and the faces of beings who had welcomed him so fully. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for the opportunity, the experience, and the friendships he had formed. He understood that the ceremony of unity was not just a ritual of Zalaris. It was a symbol of the potential for harmony across the stars. And as he drifted to sleep that night, he carried with him a vision of the future. Humans and Zalarians, worlds connected through courage, understanding, and unity. A galaxy where differences were celebrated, respected, and used to create something greater than any single species could achieve alone. Ethan had been chosen unexpectedly, faced challenges beyond his imagination, and succeeded through qualities that were distinctly human. His journey on Zalaris had shown him the power of adaptability, empathy, and courage. And in that moment, he understood that humans had the potential to shine, not only on Earth but anywhere in the universe. Tomorrow would bring farewells, reflection, and the journey home. But tonight, he allowed himself to revel in the celebration, the warmth of friendship, and the legacy of unity he had helped create. For Ethan and for humanity, this was only the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with connection, courage, and the endless possibilities of the stars.